Hi, it's Lora Songster, Marisa Faircloth, empowered by beauty. And Marisa, of course, the owner of Restoration MedSpa in Greensboro, as well as Winston-Salem. And we are barraged every day. Our social feeds, this will do this. It's kind of a magic bean kind of feeling. And tell us about how these kind of products aren't regulated. I'm not sure that I'm doing it justice by giving you that terrible intro, but I know you can take it from here.
I'm going to turn it around to something different to give you an example. But years ago, I used to own weight loss clinics. And 7 other owners and myself decided we were going to break away from the franchise we were in, and we were going to open our own little group. And so we had to replace some of the supplements that we were buying from that company. And we called a biochemist in who definitely opened our eyes to a lot of things and told us about the difference between medical grade, the quality difference in different kinds of products. And unfortunately, the FDA does not regulate anything that's not a food or a drug and is not medical grade, because medical grade needs to be regulated medically. And so we used the example of ginkgo. So ginkgo has a lot of benefits, and we wanted to carry a ginkgo product in our stores. And so we had found several different suppliers, found a supplier that we thought was a good price point, and they're both ginkgo, right? What can the difference be? So he educated us to the fact that all of the active ingredients in the ginkgo plant are found in the leaf. And so the higher priced, higher quality product bought the ginkgo plant and harvested the leaves, ground the leaves to get all of the active ingredient that was in their ginkgo supplement. And then Walmart bought the rest from them. So
it is ginkgo, but it's not the good stuff.
Right. So they bought the stems and essentially the junk and ground it up and put it in a bottle and labeled it ginkgo. They're both ginkgo. But that product has basically zero benefit. But how do we know that? You know, and as consumers, that was extremely eye-opening to know that we're really manipulated because, okay, I thought instead of buying a $15 bottle of ginkgo, I was buying a $3 bottle of ginkgo, that I was saving money. But in essence, I was throwing away money because I was spending money on something that was doing nothing. And skincare is exactly the same way. So you can buy something over the counter. It's not regulated, so it means that in their advertisement, they can tell you whatever they want to tell you. You use this cream, and you're going to look like a fairy princess. And it's okay.
It just seems so odd. There's no governing body at that level.
No,
but that's
not
what we're up against every day. And you do get ads for this, and this is going to make you into that fairy princess. And then, it didn't, you know?
It didn't work. And that's why it's so important to invest in medical grade. And if you're buying medical grade, that means you can only buy it in a medical facility with a licensed medical professional. And to us, as a as a facility that wants to provide you the best, that is all that we carry. So we only carry medical grade products. And for example, the one product that I would say is our biggest skincare line is Skin Medica. And Skin Medica is another Allergan product. So Allergan's owned by AbbVie, which is a huge pharmaceutical company. I just came back from a Skin Medica summit where This is a nationwide summit, and they invited 50 practices. So it was
Pretty impressive.
It was really impressive. We got to spend time with the physicians that are they weren't all physicians, some were PhD, that are in their research and development. And they told us that AbbVie just doubled their research and development budget, which means that they have the ability to truly research what are the best ingredients. But not only that, they do all of their product from research and development all the way through manufacturing, production, distribution, all in-house. So the thing that finally got me to be totally Skin Medica loyal was I was carrying a different product line, and I was carrying a product that was a growth factor product.
I don't know what that means.
So growth factors are basically stem cells and growth factors from living cells. And those are the cells that repair, that in your body will repair damage and will fix things when your body has things go wrong. So growth factors are known to be restorative. And the product I was using had growth factor in it. So it's going to work, right? And I was using this diligently. I was selling it to my patients until I found out that they did not manufacture their own products. And I'm like, why does that matter? But when I went to my last Skin Medica summit and I sat down with one of the R&D developers, and they were telling us that they regulate from beginning to end. And they said, we test the raw ingredients because we can buy ingredients from different sources, and some are more potent and some are not. So we will test all the raw ingredients before we start putting them into our formula. And then we test during manufacture, because sometimes we might have 3 ingredients that are all independently good ingredients, but maybe one of them is acidic, and that acid affects the potency of a different ingredient. And even though as independent ingredients they're good, in the manner that we mix them, we diminish their efficacy. So they test it then. They test it at the end to make sure that when it's all put together, it is still potent. It's still, all of the ingredients that are in there are still maintaining their individual potency. And then they pull some of the product off the shelf and hold it and test it 2 years later. So there was a comparison study of growth factors. So I guess my best way of describing growth factors to my patients is all of the products we use are anti-aging. We want to make sure that we can hold back time. And most of the products that we use have the ability to help prevent some of what aging happens. But growth factors can repair. So not only now are we preventing ourselves from looking older, we are actually able to repair prior damage. And in the clinical trials, the patients that were in the trials for Skin Medica's growth factor said that they perceived themselves as looking 6 years younger on average.
That's incredible.
And we're talking about a topical. So that really does work. But their product was the only product out of an independent study of all the growth factors that were available that was still working by the time it got on the shelf. Because everyone else just called a manufacturer and said, we want growth factors in our product. We want vitamin C in our product. We want whatever other ingredients they felt like were good ingredients. And they are all good ingredients. But sometimes just the way in which they're put together diminishes the outcome. And by the time it got on the shelf, there were only 2 products that still worked. One was Skinmedica, which was way up here. Everyone else was right along the same level of placebo. There was one other company that was kind of halfway between, and Allergan immediately went out and purchased that company because they decided they were doing something right too. So Allergan invests a lot of money in making sure that the products that they are putting out are going to really do what they're supposed to do.
I think so much of the time there are buzzwords. You know, this acid or this serum or this, and most of us don't have your education. We don't have your years in, and to be able to trust that. And no, the ginkgo example is really eye-opening.
It's kind of mind-boggling, isn't it?
It really is, because you think you're getting this, but really you're getting this. And let's talk about the cost, because many times in life you do get what you pay for.
Absolutely.
And you don't want to, you know, deep clearance your face. You know, there are certain things that you could, you know, you can get the store brand mayonnaise, but this is about your face. And what is the cost compared to, let's say, a department store or going to a Walgreens, that kind of thing? What's the gamut?
So obviously, if you go to a Walgreens or a Walmart or a CVS, you're probably going to get lower cost product. But you also have less active ingredient. And most of those products are mostly fluff and filler. You know, they might smell okay. They might be pink and pretty, but are they really going to do anything? Probably not. You might bump up to higher end products by going to department stores, and you can buy some expensive products. To be honest with you, a lot of the high end department store products are probably equal, if not sometimes more expensive than medical grade. So it's not just about price. Or let's talk about the product that your next door neighbor sells. And we're not going to name names, but let's talk about products that are multi-level. So if you think about, we're going to use Skinmedica again. Skinmedica manufactures their own product. They're their own distributor. The product goes directly from them to me. Yes, I'm a middleman. You buy it from me, and it goes to you, which means there is one step of price increase. Talk about your neighbor who is selling you a $200 product, but that neighbor is buying it through a multi-level marketing company. And guess what? There's about 10 people in her up level who are taking a piece of that pie. So you're getting a $200 product that really left the manufacturer, and it was a $20 product. So you're buying a $20 product that has $180 worth of commission in it. Whereas when you're buying a $200 product from us, it has a one-time markup. So you're getting a lot more product for a comparable price. And instead of getting a low-end product that probably isn't going to give you the outcome you want, you can take that same amount of investment. So the first piece of advice is always go medical grade. At least if you're buying medical grade, you know that it's regulated. So if any medical grade product is making a claim, they have to have a clinical trial proving that it'll do what they say it'll do. So at least you know you are actually getting what you're paying for.
I also like with that product, it's under the umbrella of quality.
Right.
We're not going to make you do this and you do this. We're going to come together. Hope it's our standard. And, you know, I think we all, in different times in our lives, we've tried this hairspray. It doesn't work. And so we have, you know, 18 hairsprays. or we have 60 skin creams, or this many serums. And when you look at, well, if I can get it at a discount place, but it doesn't work, and I buy 40 of them, I'm not saving any money, and my skin isn't benefiting from it. So skip a step, clean out your drawers, and get something that's really, really going to work.
Well, what I like to do with my new clients is, I'm going to do a consultation for the things that I'm going to provide for them. But we also offer a introductory hydrofacial with a skincare consult. And frankly, I think that's something everybody can use. It's a pampering procedure, but it's also therapeutic. It's exfoliating your skin. It's getting off all the dead skin. It's emptying out your pores of whatever gunk and crud has accumulated in there. And then at the end of that process, it's infusing nutrients into your skin and letting your skin be fresh and glowing. And it's pampering in the meanwhile. So who would not want that? But it also gives our esthetician the opportunity to work with your skin and to see how your skin reacts to what they do. And it gives them the opportunity to give you some suggestions as to what products you might benefit from most. And I always tell my patients, bring in all your stuff, all the stuff you got under your counter.
Right.
And we have one patient come in and they've got 4 different retinols. They bought it from 4 different places. If they were all truly active, which we know most of them weren't, they would have been way over exfoliating their skin. They don't need to have 4 products with similar ingredients. Now, our estheticians are not going to tell you, okay, just trash everything. They're going to go through your products and they're going to tell you, this one might not be worth buying again. It's not hurting you, but it's not doing very much for you. Use it up. Next time when you're done, this is a better replacement for that. It's going to do more for your skin for the amount that you're spending for that one. And there may be some that they say, I don't recommend you use this one anymore. And then they'll give you some good recommendations. But I guarantee you, most of the people that come in here with the bag full of stuff they bring, they might have 8 or 10 or 12 products that they're buying. And maybe each of those products is less expensive, but they're spending more than what they would spend to go out with 3 or 4 really great products. And I'm going to go back to the TNS because TNS is growth factors, but it's also manufactured in an airtight pump. So whenever you have a pot that you open and you expose it to air, that is degrading your product. So that product isn't good for as long. So the air is breaking it down. It's degrading it. Not to mention, we had a little bit of this conversation off air. What if your hands aren't clean and you're putting that into there? You're contaminating the product that is just going to spread through the rest of it. If it's in an airtight chamber, it's protected. So growth factors are living. If they're not protected from air, they're going to break down. So SkinMedica developed this product, but they knew that growth factors are fabulous. But there's a lot of other things that are great ingredients for your skin, antioxidants that help prevent damage to your skin and help prevent that aging process. It's great to have growth factors that are going to help repair, but there's other ingredients that we need as well. So the TNS Advanced Plus has 2 separate chambers. They are not mixed because when they're mixed, it's going to start breaking down those growth factors. So they pump out separately on your hand. You can mix it and put it on your face, but that way, as the saying goes, good to the last drop, all the way to that last pump, that last pump of product is just as effective as the first pump of product. That's protecting your investment. You know that what you're buying is going to work, and it's going to work all the way through that product.
I'd like to kind of roll back to where you talk about your esthetician saying this product, that product. And I, as a consumer, would like to say, just tell the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And if grandma used Ivory soap and your mama used Ivory soap and that's what you use, don't feel bad about being honest.
Absolutely.
And your people are, it's not a hard sell here. It is absolutely not a hard sell and say, okay, so you use this, use this. Well, my brother manufactures this, so I've been using that. And okay, that's great. And if we were to pick one product I should start with today, and depending on your budgets, you guys are so careful to accommodate people's budgets and be respectful. And I think a lot of times we as women, you know, wherever you go for your cosmetics, and of course now you're going to be here at Restoration MedSpa.
That's right.
But you don't want to be demeaned.
Oh, absolutely not.
You, every single person here is so careful with your heart and your feelings. And you know what is best skin-wise. Mm-hmm. But the way with which you do business really puts you at ease.
And we have multiple estheticians, but they are all as sweet as they come, and they are kind and respectful. And their goal is to get you the best that you can get for whatever your budget is. And maybe your budget doesn't let you buy Skin Medica TNS. That's an expensive product. It really is. It is worth every dime, but that doesn't mean that's where you start. We have skincare products that are within every person's budget. And I would venture to say if you bring in your little bag full of stuff, and if it's like under my bathroom cabinet, and it sounds like you have the same 20 hairsprays that I've tried that don't work, if someone had gone, these aren't going to do what you want to do, this product's a better product, even if I spent $2 more on that product and it was a good product and I didn't waste everything along the way, you're coming out better. And, you know, like I talked about department store products, there are a lot of department store products that people are using because my mom used it. Mm-hmm. You know, my friends use this, but the ingredients aren't there, and they're spending just as much, if not more. We just want to make sure that you're getting your money's worth.
And let's talk about, we've said in other podcasts how you don't feel like you deserve it. And as women, we take care of everyone else first. Mm-hmm. But let's put a comparative out there. If you want to have the skincare, the medical grade, is it a Starbucks run? Is it, you know, that night out, you know, when you just say, oh, let's just have pizza?
Well, how much do you spend at Starbucks? You know, if you go to Starbucks every day, you're probably spending $6 or $7 every single time you go. Over the course of a week, that's over $40. And we're talking about work week. You know, there are 7 days in a week. You can buy some good skincare, even the TNS, which is, you know, queen of the skincare. It's the most expensive product that we carry. It's almost $300 a bottle. That sounds overwhelming. But if you're using it twice a day, you're going to get 2 months out of that product, and it's going to cost you less than that coffee that you're buying every day. I told Lora before we even came on here, I make my coffee at home and I use the best skincare because that's affecting my looks and it's affecting the health of my skin. And we do a lot of things here. It's not just skincare, but skincare is equally important because if you're going to come here and you're going to invest in a laser to help reduce your wrinkles and get rid of your sunspots, but your skin is nutrient deprived, it's not going to work well. You're not going to get the outcome. And if you get a good outcome with your laser, you don't want to go right back out in the sun and damage your skin again. You want to protect that investment. You're investing in your future face. So wearing a really good sunscreen that helps protect your skin from aging is going to help you protect that investment.
And how much now the products are preventive versus, whoops, I used to lay out with baby oil.
Didn't we all, if it's true confessions?
Right. And can you go back in time? Can you erase that damage?
So we all have damaged skin. You know, we did lay out in the sun. Now, fortunately, this younger generation, some of my kids, like my assistant Megan, who doesn't lay in the sun, they're going to look a lot better for longer. And when I was working in dermatology, I found out that the first sunscreen that had an SPF of more than 2, do you know when that came out?
No idea.
1985.
That tracks, though. That tracks.
We'd already done our damage.
Yes,
You know, we didn't have sunscreen to protect our skin. So people of our generation are trying to repair damage that we allowed to happen. But about 80% of the damage in our skin is from the sun. So if we can protect that, well, you may not need me later. Just wear your sunscreen and all is well. But we can wear good sunscreen and protect it. And that doesn't mean that you and I don't need to be wearing our sunscreen, because we're still absorbing the rays of the sun and damage.
And I would imagine no two sunscreens are alike.
Absolutely
and you need to get
not
something that really is going to work.
Absolutely. So there's different ingredients in sunscreen. There are chemical sunscreens that kind of dissipate the damage of the skin, of the sun in the skin. And then there's physical sunscreens. And those physical sunscreens, like you and I remember the days of the lifeguard with the zinc on their nose. Okay, that's what's in most of our sunscreens, but it doesn't look like that anymore. Mm-hmm. If you get what we're going to call cosmetically elegant sunscreen, if you go buy sunscreen from CVS, it gets sticky and icky and it feels tacky. But if you buy a cosmetically elegant sunscreen, it's very thin and smooth and gives you comparable, if not better, protection. So you're getting a better grade. I would tell you most people aren't going to wear those sticky sunscreens every single day. And we're being exposed to the sun every day. When we go to work, when we go from our house to the car, we're being exposed. So you need to have your sunscreen on every single day. I put on my sunscreen before my makeup and then my sunscreen powder on top of that. So I'm making up for lost time.
But again, it's an education process for those of us who grew up several decades ago. And to have the esthetician say, okay, you may be used to doing this, and me being vulnerable and saying, do I do that after my makeup? Do I, the serum this and the this and the, like, write it down for me, because that's the only way I'm going to remember, because I don't remember anything anymore.
And
right?
That's exactly what they do. They'll write it down stepwise and tell you what your first step is, what your second step is. And I think typically what they're going to do is look at, okay, what do you have in your regimen that you are really, really lacking? And what's the most important thing to add in? And there's so many different things about sunscreen. You know, most of the sunscreens are protecting us from burning. That's great. But we're also concerned about aging, and we're concerned about the damage to our skin, about getting brown spots, about getting wrinkles. So there's other ingredients that we need to have in our sunscreen that aren't necessarily an over-the-counter sunscreen. Same with other products that we're using. You know, we may be using a very low-level product, and really when you look at it, if you're buying this product month after month after month, and you're thinking that you're going to resolve a skin issue that you have, and 10 years later you're still buying everything out there that promises a solution and haven't fixed it, you really are saving money to use a product that's actually going to work. And like we talked about, our estheticians are really, really good at trying to pick out what the most important thing is. If you're using an adequate sunscreen, fine, use your sunscreen. If you're using a good cleanser, that's fine. But what if you're not exfoliating? Then we might recommend a good exfoliator for you. But they will go through everything and tell you the steps of what you need, and will make recommendations. And just like everything else we do, just because we gave you a full recommendation does not mean that you walk out of here that day and buy it all. Now, if you can and you want to, great. We have it all, and we'll get you started on a whole new skincare journey. But at the very least, pick out the couple most important things. And then as you run through product that you already have at home, just decide which things you want to replace and just elevate your skincare every time you buy new products.
One of the things that I find interesting is I've been here for your VIP events. And in my mind, I thought women of a similar age. But now women are coming in their 20s and their 30s, and they're staying ahead of it.
Yes, they are. Wish we could have done that.
Bygones.
But they are. You know, they're more educated, but we have a lot more information out there now. And unfortunately, some of it's not necessarily good. You know, there's information from influencers. There's information on TikTok. They Google things. And guess what? Everything on Google isn't right. So, and everything the influencers say isn't right. But they have a lot of information at their fingertips, and they know that there's things out there, and they do not want to age, and they are willing to start doing the right thing. And the younger that you start, the less you need. You know, all you need to do is protect that beautiful youth that you already have, and just protect it for longer. So they can get away with less products, and that's great, but it helps them to make this journey better.
One of the things that you have a monthly special, and that allows the individual to say, I've heard a lot about this, you've taught me about this, and now I can save a little money, get the quality, and try something out. How do you come about your various specials each month?
Well, we look at what people need, and we look at what we try every month to come up with something new and good, but we also want to make sure that we rotate it. So November's our anniversary. We always have a big event. Everything that we do is on special, but that doesn't mean that everyone buys everything in November. And we have people that are waiting for that bargain. And we'll tell people it will be on special sometime throughout the year. And I have people every month that are like, I was waiting for this one, waiting for this one to come around. But we try to look at what are people's biggest needs, and what are the things that that maybe they don't know about. So we always offer promotions on packages. So we know that if you're going to do something like a laser, like let's take laser hair, for example, you can come in and do one laser hair treatment, and that's pretty much a waste of money. You need to do a series to get the results that you want to get. So we want to encourage you to do a series because we want you to get the outcome. So we will sell it to you one at a time, but we'll also tell you, if you buy the package of 6, which is what you really need, we're going to give you a discount. And then once every few months, we'll put laser hair on special, and we'll give you an even bigger discount. But we're also really big on education because we want to make sure that you are buying what's right for you. You're not just buying what's on special. That doesn't mean that's the right procedure for you. So we have a VIP event every month, and whatever is on special is our feature that month. And our providers that do that service will be present to tell you about it. So in essence, it's almost like we're doing a group consultation. You and a few of your friends, and we may end up having half a dozen people show up. We may have 30 people show up. But what we're going to do at that event is we're going to talk to you about what that special is, what that service does. Why do you want to get this? Why would this be a good one for you? Why would it be a bad one for you? And we're going to answer all your questions. And because you took time out to come to our event and purchase your product then, we're going to give you an extra special. So either the price will be discounted even further for the people that are here that day, or we're just going to give you a gift for coming and hanging out with us. But our goal is that you buy what you really need. And yes, we have a lot of good stuff, but it doesn't mean you need everything we have.
And I find it very interesting in those VIP events, your clientele is actually selling the product for you. If they have purchased it in the past and they love it, women are more than happy to say, this worked for me, girl. You need to do this one. Do this one. Do this one. It's a great price. Take advantage of this. And that just speaks to your clientele. They love the practice. They love you as I'm going to say guru, because that's who you are. I mean, you have all this accreditation that we're remiss not to bring up over and over again, because you've made this your life's work, and we just trust you. And that, when it's your face and going home to your husband and he has no idea you've been anywhere or done anything, that's the litmus test.
Well, we really care about our patients and consider them our friends, and we want them to have the best outcome. And I really hate it when people come in and they're so skeptical because they've been other places, they bought things that didn't work, or they've gone to, the high-end department store and spent hundreds of dollars on a cream that did nothing. And we really don't want to see them wasting their money and doing things that aren't giving them the outcome. But you're right. Our patients are that's our best advertising. They're telling people that what they're doing works. And that's just a great testimony that they enjoy the services that they have, that they're happy with the outcomes that they get. And that's our goal.
And you do a lot of before and after photos.
Every single time you come in.
And during consultation, I'll say, okay, so you say that. Show me some examples of real people.
Absolutely.
In Greensboro, in Winston-Salem, in our area, and you can go, ta-da.
Absolutely. Every time a patient comes in and we're doing services, we ask them if we can use their photo. Now, not everybody is okay with us using their photo, and unfortunately, there are certain services that we have a more limited portfolio because people don't really want to share those, and that's their business. We are going to honor their request, but if we have people that are so excited about their outcome that they don't care who we show, we're going to show you. We're going to let you know these are real. They're different. Everybody's different. So we may treat 10 people with the same service. They're all going to have a little bit different outcome. And we want you to see all of that. We don't know necessarily where you're going to fall, but you see real live outcomes so that you can make your decision.
And again, that's not Googling. That is not an influencer.
These are unretouched photos. These aren't filtered or retouched. These are real people. And most of the time, the pictures are, for services that I do, most of the time they're when you walked in and when you walked out. So we didn't put makeup on you. We didn't do anything. This is right before you got injected and right after you get injected. If you're doing other services, there's a time lapse because there are things that take time to see your result, and we will bring you back a month later, 3 months later, and people forget. They forget what they look like. And when changes are slow and gradual, it's really hard to see that. And even pictures for the patient, for their own benefit. We had somebody just yesterday, they're like, can I have a copy of those? I forgot that's what I look like. I want to keep this photo.
And gradual is what you want. You don't want any stark, dramatic change overnight. So what you're doing is empowering men and women. Beauty is something that we need to nourish and not to put in the back seat.
No, absolutely not. There is nothing wrong with feeling beautiful and empowered. And that is our sole purpose, is to make you feel good when you look in the mirror and feel like what you're doing is improving yourself, not just throwing away a bunch of money on pipe dreams and fairy princess creams.
And it goes beyond the physical into the emotional and self-esteem, and that is something you do very, very well. Marisa Faircloth, empowered by beauty, Restoration MedSpa in Greensboro and in Winston-Salem. Always a pleasure, my friend.
Thank you so much, my sweet friend Lora Songster.